Hey guys, it's Mountain Walk, and today we're going to be talking a little bit about some more MTG decks. Oh yes, that's right. There's another big tournament thingy. These things just keep piling up. I missed the last couple months, although they're a little late. Like they take a while to run, and then obviously the results take a little while to get posted. But there's a couple months I'm a little bit behind on, so I was like, okay, better get this stuff done now. So I'm doing it right now. We're looking at these pre-modern online monthly open thingies, and I got top 16 decks, same stuff as usual. You know how this goes. I'll be showing you some cards, that are sort of interesting or unusual or whatever. If it's a stock list, I won't typically, show like anything wonky because it's a stock list. There's not really going to be anything wonky typically. But anyways, let's go ahead and let's get started. Okay. So now we just have a Goblin deck, and this is a red-green Goblin deck. And what do we have? Well, it's just goblins. Just 4 of all the important stuff and some tutor targets. Um, I mean, the main deck Hearth Charm is like, I think that's an understandable card to play. I could see playing it in certain meta games. But typically, I think I'd rather, especially with just how random like things are all the time in pre-modern, like you never really know what you're gonna get. I'm a much bigger fan of like playing, say, like main deck Lightning Bolt. If you have extra slots, just like a couple bolts is just a just generic all-purpose answer, and it goes good with the burn from um, well, not only Gem Palm if you're targeting creatures, but also Sharpshooter, Fanatic, and Siege Gang if you want to go face. So that's always pretty nice. But that minor criticism aside, and of course my always criticism of just playing 24 lands instead of 23 in these decks. Yeah, not a lot else to say here. Just typical red green Goblin deck, sideboard cards, good old stuff. Okay, and now we have red black goblins, and again same sort of stuff. I don't think I would ever play 2 swamps. You only really want 1 to fetch for. Um, Even if you have something like Living Death or whatnot, like this still seems like you can, again, you just create the number of games where you just draw like, swamp port, and it's like, okay, I can't cast anything. So that's not that great. Uh, Especially because late game, again, it's a lot easier to have like uh, uh, more sources for double black. Like, I mean, you should just be playing something like City of Brass instead. It's because it's not like there's a ton of like super duper aggressive decks, namely Sly. Sly is the only thing that it feels like is really bad to play or to draw too many City of Brass. But like I said, minor criticism aside, yeah, 24 lands. Yeah, I typically like Duress more than Therapy, but that's fine too. Living Death obviously is pretty sweet, pretty good, pretty stock. Um, Sideboard, although like there's a lot of overlap between like Therapy, Duress, and Pyroblast. Like you're never going to be boarding all these cards in, so it's almost kind of a trap to be playing all these, even though there are some instances where some are better than the others. It's the overboarding is another thing, especially with goblins. That's really important to address, but that's kind of beyond the scope of what we're talking about here. So I guess we'll just leave it at that. But again, nothing too weird here. Opting for a main deck Pyromancer instead of something like Tinker or whatever, that's fine. Or another. Oh wait, did this guy not actually play a sharpshooter? Oh no, he does. He does. Okay, he does have a sharpshooter. My eyes are going weird. Maybe it's the 3 fanatics that's throwing me off. That's actually weird. You should always be playing 4. But anyways, again, nothing too wonky here. Okay, and now we have, well, Reanimator. And typical Reanimator stuff, doing Reanimator things. Although this one has Worldly Tutor, which is a little wonky, I guess a little wonky. But yeah, other than that, nothing too weird because you're playing green or sources of green for Oath of Druids anyways, typically. So Worldly Tutor, of course, can get you the correct fatty you want to discard or whatnot. So yeah, or you could even tutor to the top with Oath, the trigger on the stack, that kind of thing. So anyways, yeah, nothing weird here. Just this is again pretty stock standard reanimator list. All right, and what do we have? It's the solution, right? Star Spangled Slaughter, and this is a pretty stock list. There's nothing too weird here. Just a bunch of really good removal and interaction and stuff. A little bit card drawing with Portent, right? A little bit of fixin', and just some good solid creatures. And there you go. The good three colors, red, blue, and white. Let you play a bunch of really sweet sideboard cards: Blue Blast, Red Blasts, Annul, Dwarven Miner, more Exalted Angels, Mass Removal like Slice and Dice, Pyroclasm, the whole thing, the whole 9 yards. So good stuff here. Good stuff here. All right, and now we have a little spicy, a little bit of a spicy list. It's a 5-color land stack, and so it's basically got typical land stuff, right, that we would see or we have seen in the last couple lands lists. Obviously things like Exploration, Horn of Greed, that draw engine, as well as things like Summer Bloom. I guess Burning Wish is a little bit techy, right? That's definitely something that hasn't, I don't think, has actually been played too much. So that's a pretty sweet innovation. And you can of course get things like Nostalgic Dreams, Hull Breach, Sickening Dreams, Pyroclasm, another Summer Bloom. So very sweet stuff there. But of course, the real major thing is Future Sight. Card's totally sweet. This is a super busted card. Definitely one of the underutilized cards. Obviously, it's a very difficult card to play because it's triple blue. It's 5 mana total, and you basically have to untap with it a couple times to really get a lot of value out of it. But this card is super powerful. It is super busted. It's just costed very fairly. So yeah, really good stuff here. I really like the idea of being able to play Future Sight, even just with Exploration and Summer Bloom, just letting you chain just tons of lands off the top, drawing a bunch of cards, doing all sorts of sweet stuff. Burgeoning too, burgeoning pretty good here. Seismic Assault, all that good stuff. Yeah, a lot of real sweet cards, a lot of great ways to keep the cards flowing. And of course, Enlightened Tutor to tutor up whatever you need, whether it be the Future Side or an Exploration or Horn of Greed or whatever. So yeah, really cool stuff here. I like it a lot. Okay, and now we have just the typical Land Oath, Prison Oath deck thing that I liked so much on the last one. Again, I still like this deck. It's very sweet. I think this is probably one of the better iterations of Oath. Definitely something I would actually want to play at some point. So yeah, can't go wrong there. Can't go wrong there. Got a lot of good stuff going on here. Nothing too. This is like I think perhaps the same exact list as the one we looked at last time. Maybe sans the sideboard, which is a little different. But yeah, still got the lands stuff. So Treetop Village and the Waste and Ports and Mistress Factories, so Manlands and Disruption from the lands, and of course Core Haven and more locking out with Dust Bowl and all sorts of good stuff. So yeah, good stuff here, and especially when you're playing a million lands, if you hardcast or you can hardcast the Phantom Deshoba if you draw out late game, which is kind of nice too. That's pretty sweet. That's pretty sweet. All right, now we have, well, this is just Elves. More or less the same. I mean, I think this has an ESG Elder Spirit Guide, which is not exactly stock off the top of my head, but it's certainly not a bad card, and it even is an elf too, so that's pretty nice. Late game you draw it, you can still play your Grey Ogre instead of getting mana from it, so that's pretty sweet. Nothing too weird with the sideboard. The only weird thing here, or I should say unorthodox thing, would be main deck naturalized, but of course there's nothing weird about main deck naturalized in Premodern, since it's just a good card, and there's almost always cards from to hit really in any matchup. So it's pretty sweet, pretty powerful. Good stuff there. Okay, and it's like the same thing, except we got no main deck naturalized and stuff. So yeah, nothing too weird here. Well, okay. The only weird thing would be just not having the extra 2 foothills, but I'm sure that's just kind of like I just didn't have them kind of thing, right? So subbing them for force is fine. Obviously, it makes it more difficult to access your 1x mountain, for anger. But other than that, lots of good stuff here. Again, nothing too weird for the elf survival list. A lot of sweet stuff going on. Okay, and another elf list. Wow. Same stuff basically as the last deck. Nothing weird here. Again, although I don't think the last one had a Winter Orb in it. That's a pretty good card, obviously, especially when you can produce 1,000,000 mana, and the only land you're untapping would be like a Gaia's Cradle. That's pretty good too, you know. So Winter Orb definitely very sweet. All right, and now we have Junk. Or Junk Zoo, a very aggressively slanted zoo deck. This thing is sweet, you know, got all your little dorks like Riverboa, Savannah Lions, Carnophage, Sky Shroud Elite. Uh, Not 100% sure about Thornscape Apprentice, and the 1x Elvish Spirit guy looks a little strange. Those are the only three cards that look weird to me. Like the mana base looks pretty good, like they put a lot of thought into it. Wax and Wane is sweet. Obviously, yeah, Call the Herd's great, Duress is great, Vindicate's great, Never Dead. Uh, Rancor and Sarcomancy, of course. Again, very good cards. So yeah, a lot of sweet stuff here. And again, for Wasteland in the board, right? Because there are some matches where it's great and incredible, and others where it's just like meh. Um, Engineer Plague, Duress, Call the Herd, just all sorts of stuff just to trim up the numbers and board in more effective cards and board out lesser effective cards, least effective cards. I don't know. My English ain't so good. But yeah, nothing weird here. Definitely pretty sweet though. Pretty sweet. Okay, and this is a kind of a wonky Devourer list. This is pretty interesting. Might as well just go full ham, play all the 5-color lands, and jam Oath of Druids too, so you can be able to access your Phyrexian Devourer basically a lot easier, right? Instead of having to only have Tinker or something. I think this is pretty sweet. This is a pretty interesting way to go. Definitely an interesting strategy. So this might be something worth pursuing. Obviously, like um, it's not like it makes the mana base any better. I mean, it's not like the mana base was already very good anyways. But yeah, definitely watch out for something like Blood Moon, which is extremely uncommon. I don't think I've really seen it at all. But more like Price of Progress, obviously being the big one, especially playing a bunch of City of Brass and Ancient Tomb, that'll just smash you. But yeah, interesting deck, interesting deck. I like it. Pretty sweet. And this is a more typical Devourer list. Yeah, I mean this is about as stock as it gets. Same old stuff. I think I was even playing like this same 60 a while ago. So yeah, nothing weird here. Nothing weird here. All right, now we have a Panda Burst replenish thing. So we got the Panda Burst combo. So Pandemonium, Sapling Burst, right? Everyone's more or less familiar with that, being able to deal 21 damage, which is pretty sweet. And then a bunch of other stuff like the Parallax Tide, Parallax Wave, those kind of things. Opalescence, right? You can do all sorts of crazy tricks with Opalescence, Parallax Wave, Parallax Tide. This is very sweet, very cool. Big fan of that. And just a lot of good cards. I mean, look at that mana base. 4 plains, 4 islands, 4 Floodstrand, 4 Tomb, 4 Dacker Wastes, and 3 City Traders. I mean, you can't get more solid than that, especially with things like Careful Study and Frantic Search to improve your draws and dump your enchantments and stuff like that. Or Attunement, right? Obviously Attunement as well. Very cool stuff. A lot of really great stuff. Definitely think this deck's a little underplayed, but obviously the City Traders, Ancient Tombs, and Replenish are a little expensive if you don't have them. But this is, yeah, it's a pretty sweet deck. Yeah, who doesn't like playing Panda Burst? Whether or not this is just better or worse than the regular, just sort of blue-white version without like Pandemonium and Sapling Burst, I couldn't say. Uh, but it's sweet. It's very sweet. It's very good. And there you go. So, yeah. All right. Now we basically have a sort of Suicide Black deck. This one's pretty interesting. Definitely a lot more mid-range. Got 24 lands. Got the 2 discs, right? The Vinral's disc. Got a Phyrexian Arena, got Discard and Duress and Unmask, again, pretty sweet. You know, Negators, Specters, Shades, Core. I mean, yeah, these are all very good creatures, especially in, like, obviously Mask Core excels in the creature matchups, as does Shade, but Hibnox, Spectre, and Negator, of course, are much better versus control decks, so a lot of good stuff there. Hopefully stuff just lines up. And then, of course, nothing too weird with the spells. Obviously, Kaervek Spite is something that's pretty sweet, pretty strong. But typically, this is not a spell you really want to be using against blue decks. I've never been a huge fan of Kaervek Spite, but I don't think it's a bad card, so to speak. Just definitely not the way I like to play typically. So, but really interesting stuff here. Sideboard again, just stuff you would expect from a black deck. Withered Wretch, Engineered Plague, another disc. More discard in Cabal Therapy, more negators for like the control and combo matchups, Smother, Perish for creature decks, things like that. Um, Good stuff here. Good stuff here. And obviously they did pretty well, right? They got third. All right, and of course one of my favorite decks, Pox, or or affectionately titled Spud, of course, because Plague Spitter looks like a potato. That was definitely one of the funniest things. You know, that's the nice thing about Premodern is these are all old school players, so they're very much happy with, you know, having like this sort of silly sort of names, not just like Just Guy Control or whatever, or Golgari Midrange, or just, you know, just boring stuff like that, which is like, that's so stupid. Like, I'm just so tired of that crap. It's just so like it's cringy, really, in a way. It's cringy. But we have Plague Spitter, we have Spud, we have Pox, all this great stuff. Big fan. The deck is sweet, and of course, this is not new tech, so to speak, but of course, the Chain of Smog, um, discovered a couple months ago. This is actually before the Chain of Smog combo, right, with the guy from the black green card from Strixhaven. The Chain of Smog stuff in Pox was sort of discovered or whatever before that happened, and then shortly after then that the Chain of Smog with the guy from Strixhaven came out, and people were sad because it was so expensive to get your Chain of Smogs, and they're like $10 now. Very sad, very sad. I still need another one, but that's okay, no biggie. Um, anyways, so yeah, this is Sweet Pox deck, Plague Spitter, all that good stuff. Plague Spitter really great, especially against all the elf decks all around, and just all the random decks. Clears out you know, birds and elves from the green decks. Very sweet, very sweet. Um, yeah, I mean the only thing I don't like, I guess, I mean, is no Pox. I think Pox is just too strong not to run. I mean, again, I play four, but I don't think you. It's probably not actually correct to play four. Card can be pretty awkward, and if you do play four, you have to have like some number of charcoal diamond. Like I think at least two charcoal diamond if you are running four, or even if you're not, maybe just due to the black mana issues and things like that. But anyways, Spud, what that means is spitters and pits under duress. So of course, bottomless pit being the pit, and spitters being the plague spitter, and then duress being duress. Anyways, yeah, so there's like two different meanings for Spud. Anyways, it's just so ridiculous and awesome. It's something that could only come from the pre-modern community, which is pretty great. These guys really just been playing Magic for a long time. They just love it, you know. These guys and girls, I should say, you know. So yeah, it was great guys, great gals, nice people. I love the pre-modern community. Very chill too, very chill people. Everyone's just like wants to play pre-modern, doesn't want to deal with dumb like new Magic stuff. Who can blame them? It's kind of a shit show sometimes. Anyways, this deck is sweet. I probably wouldn't change too much about it. The sideboard's great. Although I think I still like something. I think I would actually. I think this is a deck that's better served by playing Phyrexian Furnace. I mean, Planar Void's like fine or whatever, but I think Phyrexian Furnace is just a better card because it doesn't really matter. Like your opponent gets something into their grave that they need the first turn. That's like okay, then your Planar Void does nothing. It doesn't do its job it's supposed to do. Whereas you can still hit that card whenever you draw, say like a Genesis or something. so you can always get that with Phyrexian Furnace. And this deck is so grindy and just chewing through everything and really good at dragging the game out. Phyrexian Furnace is really sweet in these sort of prison style decks because it just chews through the graveyard. Because you get so many turns, you can just chew through everything, especially if you draw two, which is great. And of course, artifacts aren't affected by pox, so you can just play a bunch of artifacts. And I love Phyrexian Furnace in these sort of prison style decks. I think they're very good there. So that's my 2 cents. That's my 2 cents. I love Phyrexian Furnace. What sweet art. What a weird card, anyways. Anyways, yeah, this deck is sweet. Let's get on to the winner. All right, and the winner, of course, is Elves. Oh boy, Angry Elf deck, and this is the same stuff as usual. Nothing weird here. Same old stuff. Very stock list. Definitely a very sweet deck. Very strong deck. Obviously, it's got weaknesses, but these guys either beat those players or didn't come into contact with those matchups, so that's okay. No big deal. Who doesn't like playing Deranged Hermit and Kamal Fisticrosa and having a Gaia's Cradle with the Masked Cork? That is so sweet. A lot of good stuff going on here. A lot of good stuff going on here. So yeah, nothing to say here. Same old stuff. But that's it for today, guys. So I hope you liked it. There was some really clever innovations, some really cool stuff. So yeah, a lot of cool things, a lot of neat decks. Again, just showing more of the innovation that's going on. So I love it. What a great format. A lot of nice people. A lot of nice people. So yeah, thanks for stopping by, guys. I hope you enjoyed this, and have a nice day.